we're here reviewing Indigenous contracting as well. Documents have been received that reveal that a small number of nominally Indigenous firms were able to act as brokers between the federal government and other potentially non-Indigenous companies, simply getting contracts and subcontracting. This allows the contracts to fit into an Indigenous contracting quota, even though Indigenous people do not actually benefit because the subcontractors may be all or mostly non-Indigenous. These companies are essentially using the Dalian or GC Strategies model. I want to ask you, when a company gets a contract under an Indigenous set-aside, is there an expectation or a requirement that some percentage of subcontracts also go to Indigenous firms?
Indigenous Services Canada manages the list of Indigenous businesses that are qualified Indigenous contracting companies, but PSBC manages this overall, and I will say that departments are responsible for making a request to IST to conduct a post-award audit, and the audit has to be requested when there's any suspicion at all that the requirements of the applicable policy haven't been met through delivery, and Indigenous Services Canada.
Can I just clarify my question, Minister, and I'd love to hear your response on this. Do the requirements include that a certain percentage of subcontracts from an Indigenous contracting situation, that a certain percentage of the subcontracts go to Indigenous companies? And are the subcontractors tracked in any way?
Right now, the percentage is 33%. In other words, the contractor's delivery of goods or services and monitoring the contractor's compliance with the 33% Indigenous content requirement for contracting companies.
Okay, thank you. That's what I was looking for, and I appreciate that, the one-third requirement there. Is that tracked? Because the committee asked for subcontracting information, and we received, in almost all cases, zero information about subcontracts. So I'm a bit mystified about how the government would know if that requirement is being met, if subcontracting is not being tracked in any case.
I actually just want to clarify my answer, and then I want to add one thing. It's 33% for the contract. That would be verified in the post-audit that ISC does. And on your question about subcontractors, I actually think it is a good point, and I think that we should do continual work to be able to track the suppliers in the subcontracting process.
Yeah, Minister, I really appreciate that comment. That's the first time I've ever questioned a minister and had an acknowledgement of an important point, because I think there is a gap. We received no information on subcontracts. We didn't get an answer from the previous minister. So I hope we'll have agreement from this committee, from you, to refine that process so we're actually tracking subcontracting information